All right. I'm here. Okay, good. Howdy. Let me just make sure that this is all set up. We can get started. All right. All right, hey everyone. As you can see, my big pharma checks finally cleared. So I'm in this definitely real $1.5 billion apartment. Totally, that is painting that I chose. Not just, this is definitely not a screenshot of $1 billion living room that I got off of Google. And as you can see, my very tiny books that I read for pleasure, of course. Hi, Goldie. Hi, everybody. I'm not going to say everybody's name. I don't have the attention span for that. But hello, welcome to my live stream. This I'm happy to finally be doing one of these. I took a break. I mean, I'm still sort of getting into my routine. I plan on doing these more often, but yeah. All right. Let's see. How's everybody doing? I'm hoping next stream I can nail down like just like ambient music. I know that there's some free uh licensed music, unlicensed, licensed. I don't care what it has to be. It's okay for streaming, but it's just not. I haven't really nailed down a good playlist, and I'll have to, you know, I'll have to fix that. All right. I'm doing okay. I had therapy today, so I am tip top. Feels good. Yeah, I'll give you guys a session. Squeeze the cans, please. Thank you. Squeeze the cans, please. Well, all right. Take a deep breath and let it out. And then they hit you with, "I'm not auditing you. This is a confessional sec check for ethics purposes." Or I guess you'd say HCO sec check, HCO confessional for um, ethics purposes, which means I can tell anyone whatever I want about what we talk about in session. You drop the cans. I picked them up. I placed them back in your hands. Thank you. All right, are you ready? Is the room all right to be audited in? Is the chair comfortable? Any reason not to have a session? All right. No case on post. You got it, Tim. Clench the butt cheeks. Ah. Keep it in. Keep it in. Can we let the hair loose and relax for this session? The auditor is not compelled to do anything. I am in full control of this session. And let me just, where's my red pen? Let me see, what's your name? All right, let me just get that circled. Anyone who's been in a session would laugh at that. Squeeze the cans, please. Also, it's so funny when you're, as an auditor, the session report forms are probably the most laborious part of the session because you are keeping up with like the speed of the person talking. So very often you shorthand, and you come up with your own shorthand. Sometimes there's a lot of common shorthand. I used to help the person called the senior CS, the senior case supervisor, when I was on staff at Atlanta. So I did a lot of folder reviews and a lot of suggestions for auditing. You're supposed to write on the auditor report form, this is the session, because that's what you say when you start it. And you put the time. But sometimes, you know, you don't want to write out this is the session every time because you're trying to write. So you just write tits. And that was one of my favorite part is to just you know, when me and a friend would be drilling sessions or we'd do we drill, you'd be like, thank you, tits, and then the supervisor would not like that, not at all. Sola says that had to be annoying and exhausting. You'd be correct. It was a lot of work for very little return. Very often you would sort of watch Scientology not work. Like one time I had this guy, I audited a guy by the name of John Miranda. Audited him on something called the Allergy and Asthma Auditing Rundown, or Allergy and Asthma Rundown course, which is like a very short thing. And it's supposed to cure you essentially of all your asthma and allergies and whatnot. And we did all the listing and went through the whole thing. And and then I was on Facebook like 3 weeks later, and he was like asking the like Facebook groups for advice on allergies, how to deal with his nasty allergies. And I was like, well, fucking goddamn it, Jesus, this guy. But I blamed him somehow. I mean, it's obvious now. Here, I'll give you what you want. I'll give you what you want. I see. I needed to shower today, and I still might. But here, you here's your gift. One of you out there is really thirsty, so I'll give you a sip. He pulled his asthma in. Yes. Yeah, it's so funny. If a Scientologist has something wrong done, like if Scientologist sees something bad happen to somebody else, they're like, "What'd you do to pull that in?" But very rarely, if they are the person doing the bad thing, will they ask, "What did I do to pull this in?" You know, you really have to sit them down. It's not till you sit them down and you say, "I'll check the rudiments," and then they're like, "Oh shit." And they're like, "Do you have an ARC break?" on the question, do you have an ARC break? Has anything been suppressed? Do you have a present time problem? On the question, do you have a present time problem? Has anything been suppressed? Do you have a present time problem? People don't like you? Yeah, I understand. Well, I'm going to check a question real quick. And then you ask them for the missed withholds. Or what their overts are. Let me get to I missed a couple of these. Jack asks, was your brother and sister in Scientology? They are both currently in Scientology. My brother is a staff member at the Church of Scientology in D.C. He's actually the what's something called the DIR-INR, the Director of Inspections and Reports, which is an ethics officer. It's someone who applies, he cracks the whip, so to speak, on the ethics, the out ethics people in the org. And my sister is, she's doing whatever she's doing. I'm not really sure. Was Lisa Marie Presley still in with the church? It's hard to say. I think Lisa Marie was, she left Scientology publicly, as publicly as she could, but she was also set to testify against Danny Masterson in the new, in the retrial. After there was a mistrial, a lot of crazy shit happened in that case, including the jury foreman lying on the jury questionnaire, which was crazy. So there was like a lot of spookiness. But he's getting retried. So she was supposed to come out and talk about that, or testify against him, and sadly she passed away. I didn't know her. I heard about her. I probably seen her once or twice out of the corner of my eye, but I couldn't tell you. Like, I couldn't pick her out. She wasn't one of the ones they advertise the most while you're in, so it's hard, hard to say. Hard to grow attachments to parasocially. All right, what else we got? Couch, thank you. I will use this. I will use this for good. I feel silly having watched a few of your dad's videos. You feel silly. How do you think I feel? What would happen if you were attracted to the auditor or person you're auditing? Would it have to be reported or get in trouble? No. Here's exactly what would happen, because this has happened to me. I've had some. I will admit, I've, especially when I was at Flag, they import a lot of foreign people, human trafficking wise. They don't see it like that, but a lot of people get flown in from other countries, and there was this. I had an auditor one time who was quite attractive, although I'm a respectful guy. I wasn't gonna do anything. I know the rules. The auditor, PC meaning pre-clear, the person being audited, relationship is very separate. So you're not allowed to do that, and I know that. I was a trained auditor. I'm obviously going to keep my hands to myself. I just, you can't help but be attracted to some people. So, but I wasn't going to do anything about it. So obviously you say what's on your mind, and you get into the habit of, if they say, do you have any thoughts or considerations? You're nervous or something, or you're fidgeting with the cans or something. And you say, well, I'm just, out of all transparency, I find you attractive. That's at least what I said. And she said, thank you for telling me. Let's continue. And I was like, okay, good. Let's continue. Because it's not that deep for me. Although I have heard some nightmare stories that I would definitely get demonetized for. I'll tell them. I'll find some other way to tell them. But there are some very graphic things that I've heard um, from from auditing from the female auditors that I've known. They say, it's like, you have any thoughts or considerations? And their PC's like, oh yeah, insert the most vile, graphically sexual thing, like something someone should be put on a watch list for. And it's somehow just brushed off in this very bizarre sort of cognitive dissonant way. Thank you, Robbie. It is very nice of you. I don't even know how to do those emojis. I haven't even I don't really know how all that works just yet. Goldie says, I'm going to email you later. Oh, I did tell Aaron I did answer your email through Aaron. If he to AA Run, if he forgot, that's on him. He's a busy guy. I've been watching the drama that's been going on between Tony and Aaron lately. I've heard about that, but I haven't actually watched the video. Somebody should, what's the video called? I'm going to add that to my watch later, because there was I heard some beef through a mutual. But I never watched the video. He posts so many videos. It's hard to keep up sometimes. All right. Gotta find those earrings. Oh, in the yeah. The auditor that I had, the one that I was talking about, she had this. There are these things called. Some of you are aware of assists, Scientology assists, and I'm just gonna put my hair back up. Honestly, I feel like it's kind of dirty. I should have showered before, but I kind of said 5:30 just to stick to it, and then it was 5:15, and I was like, oh shit, well, I might as well. Who knows? I could literally just take. I mean, I could take a break whenever I want. But she had this policy where she wouldn't policy with herself. She wasn't. She I guess had too many creepy men giving touch assists to, or nerve assists, which you apply. Has you putting your hand on the body. It's supposed to be non-sexual, but apparently men were getting aroused when she did it, so she just decided to not do it, which is a luxury as an auditor. You're supposed to just deal with it. So I don't know how she was able to deal with it, but maybe she was harassed or assaulted in some way, and so she got special protection against that. It's a very to care about an auditor's needs is rare, because you're there to work. You're there to, you're a tool. What else we got? Worse than show feet. Worse than that. Yes, absolutely worse than that. I kid with you, hon. I have much love for you, proud of you, and wish you more success in your journey and life. Love from Puerto Rico. Thank you. Puerto Rico sounds like a Puerto Rico. I don't know if I'm supposed to be. My accent's rough, but I wish you luck in kicking out all those greedy white people who want to take away your beaches and your land. Independence for Puerto Rico. Hell yeah. It's your country. Aaron and Tony have had tiffs before. They have. Tony, he has his tendencies. He can push. He wants the scoop. I don't know what this is about. I know there was a lot of beef about his the jury foreman thing, because they opened up some issues. I haven't. Again, somebody tell me what that video is called. Out 2D with Priscilla Presley. It's quite the score. I'm not. You know, I've heard some things that are simply impressive, to be honest. But I don't think I've heard of that one. Anthony, thank you, Anthony. How did you ever understand Hubbard? I listened to him and have no idea what the hell he's talking about. That's a great question. You know, because I've read over some stuff in the since then that he's written, and I still get these emails about, you know, just some random emails. I shuffle through them for fun because they're ridiculous, but they use a lot of sort of this coercive. There's something that goes along with gurus and cult leaders, and when you're around people who are all kind of telling you that this person is smart, and you know, me, I was born into it. So he uses a lot of big words and a lot of you're kind of staged in the frame of reference of like, this is the time period, and make sure to look up and fully define every single word that you read, period. Otherwise, you're gonna get confused, and a lot of pressure on word clearing is what they call it, because you're clearing up all these definitions. I actually have I have my old notebook from when I was at Flag, and I have when you have to do student points, you keep track. When I was on course, so we have these tallies up here. These are every definition. This is just one day. So we had word clearing. I had 37 minutes. That's when you're working with someone to clear words. At 37 minutes, 12 minutes, 25 minutes. I wrote, let's see, that's 12 essays. And I did this looks like 11 demos. Demos are, you use these tiny little pieces. And so, I mean, it goes like that for a while. Another day. This isn't even remotely all the days. Another day. Another day. Another day. This is like 14 hours a day, 7 days a week, every day of the year. So it's you kind of get into this trance where you make it make sense. And I can tell you the way I know it doesn't make sense is because so many people had got it wrong, and it was sort of an unending string of people who had to be corrected constantly, or who were blamed for all the, you know, ills of the organization because they had MUs, and the MUs are why they fucked it up. There really is just no good way to do it. There is just no one way. It's however you're kind of instructed to do it in the moment. So, you know, you make it make sense. But there is, because there's like this whole section of correction or correcting, you know, it's called qualifications, where there are people who correct you in your standard application of the tech. You know, you get in this circle where you don't understand it, you mess up, you get corrected, you do it properly, you get passed, you get back on doing it, you do it, you mess up, you get corrected, you know? So it keeps them in for a while. So whenever you do something wrong or something wrong happens, you can just chalk it up to, oh, well, I have an MU, or, you know, it's just endless. But they think it's like workable, which is hilarious. Hi, Ian and everyone. I already know the answer to the Tom Cruise question. Yes, I'm going to get to that. I did a little clickbait, but it's not really clickbait because I will answer this question. I'll just answer a couple more. while people get through. Have you met Kirstie Alley? I have. Actually, it's a funny story. The only time I actually met Kirstie Alley, I was at the Sandcastle Hotel in Clearwater, Florida. My parents, I think my mom was doing her OT levels, and me and some other kids who were there went out into this like awful rainstorm, and it was like, in Florida, like when it rains, it pours. It's like a monsoon. So we went out, we were swimming in the pool, and it was like overflowing, and we were all having a fun time. We weren't supposed to be out there because, if lightning strikes, we're all dead. But we came in, we were all soaking wet, and here comes Kirstie Alley into this cafe with a handful of towels. And she just starts handing out these fresh towels to all the kids. And that was just a very nice thing. I only have that fond memory of her, to be honest. So it is an interesting, and that was one of the places that, John Travolta prefers to stay, and some of the other people I know, what's her name? Nancy Cartwright likes to stay there. I actually had dinner with her and her son at a long time ago. But yeah, I mean, that was a nice enough memory. All right, what else we got? The drama was about the Danny Masterson trial, and Chris Shelton had a fan for several years who coincidentally turned out to be the daughter of the chief of the jury in Danny Masterson trial. That having the jury foreman on the podcast was probably not like this soon after. Like if we could have found out that he lied without having him be on the podcast, that would have been ideal. But it only hurts people like us, victims of Scientology, to give Scientology more legal leeway. So I could understand how that could get muddy. Thankfully, I wasn't on the jury. She arranged for Chris Shelton to interview her dad, and they all went a bit crazy from there. Ooh. Yeah. It's just a little too fresh. A little too fresh of a situation, because Scientology has directives. David Miscavige has directives on how his legal team should manipulate those who speak out against the church, right? So you don't have this the luxury of throwing caution to the wind. I mean, you shouldn't have that luxury, not with them, because not with Scientology. They are way too. None of the money that's donated to Scientology really goes to expanding Scientology. It really just goes to the lawyers. So they are happy to spend day in and day out getting bankrolling, just finding every tiny legal loophole to exploit, to to stick a crowbar in and pry up, to invalidate the concepts of what is it to be a victim. Like this crazy, crazy nonsense. They are ruthless because they are directed to be ruthless. So, Chris is a nice guy, and Tony's also a pretty nice guy. We're all working towards the same thing. I think there is a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it, and I think it depends on the situation. And if you try to blanket, here's the way we want to do it for like every single scenario, you're gonna trip and you're gonna fall and you're gonna make a mistake. If they made a mistake legally, it's gonna happen. It's happened before. It's gonna happen again. But hey, at least we're not trafficking people. That's the difference. Is that there is a side that deserves justice, and there is a side there is a side that is avoiding justice. On his live streams, he banned the words Scientology and Ian. Is that from my dad? Did he do that? I mean, of course he did that. But, like, have we tested that? Is that tested? Have we seen... Do we know if his lives are actually live at all? Because I had a theory that they were all just pre-recorded. Is the demo the clay models? No. So there are two kinds of demonstration. There's demos, which is like a little bowl of like random pieces of like a pen cap and marbles and a penny and like all just as much random, tiny, manageable stuff, and you kind of like you work it out. You demonstrate the concepts of things. They keep it very conceptual, so you don't actually nail down anything concrete. But and so there's things called demo kits on every table, basically, and that would be a demo. And then a clay demo or a clay demonstration is you go to the clay table, where they have never really nailed down a good way to do this, but there's like big lumps of clay, and you make you have to basically physically represent. It's not an art contest, but you have to roughly physically represent every single solitary part of a concept in clay. You have to make all the people. You have to make the line of flow of communication. You have to label everything present. Every person, every arrow. If you make an arrow out of clay, you got to label the arrow. If you make a book out of clay, if you make something spaghetti in a little bowl out of clay, you have to label it spaghetti and you have to label the bowl. It is such an anal activity. It's not even the worst concept, to be honest, but it's very laboring. And in the ethics spaces at Flag, they had the absolute worst clay. It was old and hard, and I had bruises on my hand. My hands were raw after a day of working that clay. You sit down there for like 8 or 9 hours. Just getting through whatever program that they put you through. I had pages and pages of these programs. MU. When I say MU, I mean misunderstood word. That's basically, they shorten it to that. Sometimes people say miss you, which is dumb. I just thought that was dumb. But yeah, it's just a shorthand that they use. I discovered your dad about 3 months back and thought, cool, he seems great. Then I discovered you, and I'd be like, educated. Yeah. No longer subscribe to him. Yeah, he does regurgitate. He has a really bad memory. Sometimes, if you could just look through his videos, you'll just see he just repeats the same videos over and over again, in like a slightly different environment, or like he'll go between his mansion and his studio sometimes, or he'll do it at his farm, his farm. It's like a remodeled, very expensive place, and it looks like, wow, he's just making so much content. It's all the same, and he doesn't interact with any of his audience. When you see him respond to comments, that's just that's a person in his office who is responding. I knew her. I sat next to her at his office when I worked there. Did I ever meet Danny Masterson? No, I did not. He was out there doing, he was out there R-wording people, I guess. Didn't have enough time to talk to us little guys. Is David Miscavige as tiny as he appears? He is so small. He is very small, very tiny. Never been face to face with him, although he's like a little shorter than Tom Cruise, and I've stood next to Tom Cruise, and I tower over that man. So yeah. What's the scariest cult I've studied? What was that cult called? Oh my god. I've definitely I was gonna say Nexium, but there is a worse one. Um there was a movie made about it. That Canadian guy up in the woods. And he had those people, it was like a doomsday cult, and he like cut off that woman's arm. Y'all remember that? Children of God. It might have been. What was the movie called? It's probably it's um what was that? I just watched this with my girlfriend not too long ago. There are so many cults, guys. It's getting real rough out here. I'm sorry, I missed this one. Is there a presence of this CS in PR? Thanks. I'm not exactly sure what you mean. If you could clarify that. Where's Shelly Miscavige? We found Shelly. I'm pretty sure. She's in California. She's at the CST, the Church of Spiritual Technology base. It's not a church. It's just a place where they do all the tech preservation in the vaults. I don't doubt that she's there. I don't think that David Miscavige has. He's too insecure to actually like get his hands dirty. He's like too. He's such a baby. Like I don't really think he has like the potential to kill his wife and bury her in the shed. You know, he did banish Mary Sue Hubbard though. She served prison time. I I think it was the Anthill farm. That one I was talking about. But that movie was rough. Asked Eric on comments if he was a Scientologist. LOL, got no response. Probably blocked off a site now. You probably are. If we could just get like a unanimous question from everyone on his site, he'd have too many people to block. He could just ignore it and delete all the posts too, because he has a full team of people doing that. Um, for Pineapple, I'm super enjoying your live chat, hoping it's a regular thing. I think it's going to be a regular thing. I want to divide because I lose people when I start playing games, although I like to play games and it's a great distraction for me. Um, I talk a lot, so I it's good to have like a balance, but I haven't really figured out what that balance is. Also, I have a bunch of like just normal not live videos I'd like to make. So I'm still figuring it out, but I think I'm on my way to get there. How's therapy going? Therapy is going good. I recommend it. I recommend specialists. I recommend looking for people that that meet the therapy that matches your trauma. You know, it's fantastic. Are you worried your dad has Osa watching you? I don't give a. What are they gonna do? You know how much work, and this is for you, Osa. You know how much work you're gonna be doing just transcribing all this nonsense. instead of actually doing good in the world? Do you think this is worth your time? Do you think this is what L. Ron Hubbard really wanted? Do you think this is clearing the planet like your only fucking goal? Like, come on, guy. Yeah, I mean, if you're here because you like me, you can just say that. But I will only accept questions from Osa if it is a super chat. Thank you. And if you are looking for a way out, please privately message me, and I will help you without question. And keep your anonymity. I will take your anonymity to my grave if that's what you want, but I will help you. But you know, it's on you. So I hope that answers that question. Oh boy. Start a separate channel for games. For who would watch that? I mean, I get it, and maybe you're right, but like, it's so hard to tell because like, um, there's a lot of content suppression, and there's a lot of I know who my audience is, okay, and obviously that's not going to be everybody. And TikTok likes to suppress. TikTok is where most of my audience is, and they suppress content like it is nobody's business. It is so aggressive. So I wanted to. My dad is OT7 and can't even clear his throat. What a waste of money. Tell me about it. I so it's hard. I'll figure it out. I mean, I'm gonna do what I want to do anyway. It's not like there's a perfect way to do anything. Hold on one second. I'm gonna grab some. So pay no attention to me disappearing into my living room. This is definitely a real living room that I bought with $1 billion and not a picture I found on Google. Thank you. Next question. Savage Messiah. That is absolute. That's the movie. That is the movie. Thank you, Laura B. Dannon. That was rough. I'd heard about it, and then I was like, oh, I don't want to watch that. And then I watched it, and I was like, oh my God. When was the last time you talked to your father? Do you still keep in touch with him? You must be new here. In Scientology, there's something known as disconnection. The idea that if someone you know is what's called a suppressive person or a the root of all evil, it's the rule is to either handle or disconnect, but it's usually handle and disconnect, because if they are a declared SP, if the church has assigned them this thing, unless they desperately want to get back in, which there's a whole river of blood to wade through just to just to get to the other side of that mess, I don't recommend it. Your entire family, if they are Scientologists, and every Scientologist has to then not only separate from you, but see you as a bad person. And I actually, I had, when I was declared, so no, to answer your question, no, I've reached out to him many times to settle certain things, and he still has certain pieces of my property at his house that I would like back, and I've been ignored and even blocked on multiple numbers, So they're just very hateful and spiteful people. I actually had a kid that I went trick or treating with when I was a kid, uh, and he's on staff in DC. And when I got declared, he was talking to everyone that I knew, every mutual, on Facebook, and sending them a message saying, "This guy, the kid's name is Chaz Smith," saying, "Yeah, you know Ian. Yeah, don't talk to him. He's actually an SP, and he's a really shitty guy. So you should block him next when you get a chance." You know, people I've known my entire life. Uh, um, they're like, "Oh, well, I hope you understand that I'm blocking you now." Like it's not a joke. It is you lose a massive part of your life to something so trivial. Especially what I noticed is the more I stood up for myself, the more if me standing up for myself when something bad's happened to me is responded with in hatred, maybe I'm not the problem. You know, maybe it's the cult. And the C word, they don't like the C word at all. So so it's hard to talk with them normally, or like a normal person. They are in their own world, you know. I don't know how good his team is because I posted tons of comments on Dr. Berg's videos. I've used the word Scientology a lot and had replies several days later. Well, I'm sure. I mean, he gets like so many comments. Um, a lot of his comments are from people who don't speak English. I think that's also where he's kind of cornering his market. He's getting his Russian teams and his Latin American teams. Latin American team probably uh, um, uh, doing less. Um, but there's some Russian Scientologists that are going out of their way to for free uh, put like subtitles over his content. So the Russian channel he has is completely. He still gets all the money and revenue from it, but he lets them. He gives them like affiliate links, I think. Adriana, you're glib. Brutal. Brutal. Let's see. Oh, there's some beef going on. Damn. I'm a little behind. Let me catch up. Everyone here should go to Dr. Berg's YouTube channel and demand he return Ian's belongings. I Something tells me. I mean, he doesn't really see his followers as people. He doesn't really see non-Scientologists as people. He kind of sees them as like these little rocks scooting around under his foot. But you never know. I mean, no one's actually held him to public pressure because he can just ignore and not say anything. You know, it's going to hit him eventually. It's going to hit him um, when Scientology loses its tax exempt status, and he has to wonder why. You know, it's not just the SPs won. Dog, the SPs won a long time ago, in 1993. You got an SP running your cult there, bud. Never liked Cruise till he did Valkyrie. Listen, remember when Tom Cruise could act? I used to love that guy. I used to be inspired uh, by Tom Cruise. But let me tell you, it is very hard to be inspired by a guy who uh, laughs on talk shows and pats and like presents himself in such a way while absolutely knowing all of these horrible illegal things that the cult that he's in does, and he does support them financially, but he's like hiding from. I haven't We used to see, when I was younger, we used to go to these international events. They had a bunch every year, and you'd see in the front row of these events, when they pan across, you'd see Travolta, you'd see Cruise, you'd see Kirstie Alley, you'd see Isaac Hayes, and it was up to a certain point where you just never saw Tom Cruise anymore, ever. He never came to any of the events. He doesn't to this day. I mean, not like I watched them, but I've up until I left, he wasn't in any. Between, I think, like for a few years, and yeah, he just retreated from everything, and it became so apparent to me that you can just distort the truth by avoidance and just not saying anything. And people are like, oh, well, you see, nothing bad came out of it. It's like, no, he just ignored them until people with short attention spans forgot. But only for that reason. I mean, and he stopped acting. He just became like a stunt man. Xenu equals Xemnu. Look it up. Hubbard stole from Marvel. L. Ron Hubbard stole from just about every avenue he could. But if you just look at what was I going to say? Lost my train of thought. Oh, if you were to ask a Scientologist, I'm sure they would say, "Oh, they stole from Hubbard," because they have a really one-track mind. But thank you, Anthony. In-N-Out, which I was very confused the last time. I thought it was the official In-N-Out page. It was very confusing. Thank you, In-N-Out. Just tuned in. Can you recount the Tom Cruise story again? Did you know him? All right. I think we have enough people that I can get into this. I have 2 stories, okay? I think this is about the time. You ready? It's not as exciting, but it was exciting for me. All right. I was 12 or I think 11 or 12 years old, 10 to 12 years old roughly, and my brother and sister were both going to Delphi, Oregon, which is the biggest Scientology run school. It's essentially like it's a massive school in Oregon, where there's a lot of what's the word? It's like a recruitment arm, essentially. That's where they can indoctrinate you young, but it's like a big boarding school. They got horseback riding and archery and all this stuff. I went for a summer, and it was more fun than the private school I went to next to a cement factory, where I studied in a room no bigger than a airport bathroom, you know. But so they were having a like a prom. I think it was a prom. It was like a parent student prom or something, or a parents' day or so. It was just some big thing. I went there. I didn't know there was a dress code, so I just had a long, oversized shirt. I was a chunky kid, for sure. So I was a little insecure being there, but you know, everyone dressed up, and whatnot. I was there just to see my my brother and sister. I knew roughly that Tom Cruise's kids went there, but I didn't know too much about, you don't expect anything. You're not supposed to talk to celebrities in Scientology if you're a Scientologist, because it's just taboo, I guess. Unless they talk to you. So I'm on this dance floor. Everyone's partying around. There's like hundreds of people. There's like 200 people there. A lot of crowds. It felt like that, at least. The crowd opens to the dance floor, and there's this little baby and this woman dancing on the ground like this. She's like holding this baby's hands, and this like 2-year-old is like, on how you dance with a baby. I've never danced with a baby, so I wouldn't know, but you get the gist, right? So I'm like, that looks like Katie Holmes. And as I say that, I look up, and who's holding the camera recording the whole thing is Tom Cruise. And I was like, holy moly, that is holy wow. And it was very bizarre, and I was just like kind of stuck there. I didn't stay there very long because a girl came up to me and said, like made fun of me for what I was wearing, and I ended up leaving and like crying near this other little pavilion for the rest of the night. But that was Tom and what was it? Tom and Katie, and there was little Suri Cruz. Suri? It was crazy. But the second time, because I ended up becoming acquaintances with Tom Cruise's sister, Cass Capizario. And she's the one who handles all of his PR, right? Somewhat of a nice lady, but very like smiles, but knows that if you do anything, you're going to be not talking to her, or there's a clear barrier there, and I knew that, and I was terrified because I wanted to write and I wanted to make movies, and how am I supposed to talk to this woman? How am I supposed to ask her for help like that? Who am I to ask her for this kind of stuff? And I was discouraged from doing so as well. But I had seen her around, and I had said hi. She came to the DC org. I met her there. I met her at Flag a few times in Clearwater. And then when I was at Flag for training, I saw Tom Cruise like 5 or 6 times. This man never takes his sunglasses off. He wears his sunglasses on inside constantly, as if you're not going to know that's fucking Tom Cruise. He wears his sunglasses inside like it turns him invisible. But I think that's like an insecurity thing. I've seen him walk up and down. I passed him on that little bridge between the Fort Harrison and the Flag building. This one time, and this is the last time I saw him, I was sitting with my dad, Dr. B, on the 3rd floor of the Fort Harrison, where the bridge, not a lot of you know, I'm sure some of you know what I'm talking about when I say the bridge, but like the physical bridge that connects the Fort Harrison Hotel to the Flag building. Okay, there's like a little area inside the Fort Harrison just after the bridge where you can like sit and do whatever. I'm sitting there with my dad while he's talking to his registrar, the person who takes your money, and her name was Sonia. We're just talking, and then this guy just comes up to like this far away from me, and I was like, "Hey, sorry, I'm sorry to cut your comm," which just means interrupt you when you're talking to someone. Sorry to cut your comm. I really sorry. Just have to do this real quick. And then he just hugs Sonia, and I'm like, "That's fucking Tom Cruise. That is Thomas. That is Thomas, middle name Cruise." And I was shocked. Still had his sunglasses on, believe it or not. And it was crazy. And I was like, oh my God. And he was talking to her about something. I didn't even hear what they were saying. Uh, but and then his security guards were like kind of idling behind him, and then they left. You know, he gave that like really big smile, and then he left. The day after, okay, I was with a friend in that same chair, in that same area, just talking to them, and I was like, it was crazy, you know. And I stood up, and I did kind of the action that he did, and I was like, you know, sorry, I was kind of mimicking it to kind of tell the story, and then it was very brief. By the time I got downstairs, the security guard was like, "Phone for you, Mr. Berg." I was like, "Take the phone." I said, "Hi, yeah. Don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone where you saw Tom Cruise. Don't say anything about it. If he talks to you, keep it to yourself. That's not something we share." And I was like, "Yes, sir, Mr. Man in the chair." You know, the guy in the security room who not only records all of Tom Cruise's interactions, but was there the next day to see me briefly saying, "Oh yeah, I saw Tom Cruise yesterday. Wasn't that crazy?" Had already gotten me on the phone by the time I got down to the lobby. It's just a very short time. Like, pulled me out of line. Pulled me out of the... He was like, "You, come here." Handed me the phone. I was on phone with security. Absolutely bizarre. Nobody knows what Tom Cruise's name is, by the way. I have no... Like, every time I check, I forget. Something Greek. So that is more or less the last time I saw Tom Cruise. I've seen his sister a few times after that. She was the one who facilitated buying that condo building in downtown Clearwater that he lives in the penthouse of. No one has the balls to ask Tom Cruise about Scientology anymore. Because what is he gonna say? He's exhausted. When was the last time you saw him like make himself available for too many interviews? You know, he has people who say, "Don't ask, don't talk about it, don't talk about it." You want to talk to Tom Cruise? Don't talk about Scientology, and they're like, "Yeah, okay." Oh, this one's great. Is the Illuminati also Scientology? Wouldn't you like to know? Scientology wishes it was the Illuminati, but they're a small 25 to 30,000. 30,000 is generous. 25,000 person cult that just does a lot of propaganda. So they make themselves seem a lot bigger by buying. It doesn't take a lot of money comparatively to buy these buildings and make them look nice. The flag building, or the superpower building, as you've heard it called, that was somewhere around $460 million. Okay, that was a big chunk of change. Took them a really long time to do it. But you go in there and it's all marble, or like all like everywhere. It's an insane building. I mean, it's built for security, so it's very dense. They literally need their own air conditioning building just to funnel, just to keep the because it's so. I mean, it's very poorly designed as far as for like ventilation, because it has to be so secure. So they actually have to very precisely control, like, there's a huge big building right outside that has to pump clean air and pump all the water through, and it's like, it's way too big. It'll be underwater in like 50 years, but sure. Yes, like. If that does something good, I'm all for it. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the views. Thank you for your ears. I have, uh, I talk a lot, but I guess that helps me in this circumstance. Didn't help me in the cult, but definitely helps me here. I guess we're all speculating on Tom's name. I was married to Tom Cruise 57 million years ago. And the funny thing is, you don't need proof for that. If you're in Scientology and you told that to an auditor, the only thing that they could do is say, wow, okay, thank you for telling me. I'll repeat the auditing. Or what? Like, tell me about it. Tell me what happened. Because you don't need proof. I mean, once you get up to the OT levels, you realize none of your past lives are yours. So maybe a body Thetan was married to Tom Cruise 57 million years ago. You'll have to consult that in OT5. But do let me know. Keep me updated. Thank you, Zachary. Do I have any stories involving David Miscavige? None personal. My parents met him a few times. Um, I I've heard many stories. I did hear that David Miscavige kicked somebody out of the gold base because that guy said in an auditing session that he thinks about David Miscavige when he masturbates, and obviously that got directly to David Miscavige. Because if you're in management, nothing you say in session is private. Period. That is nothing you say in session is private. It goes to several people, and just about anyone in an organization, anybody in a local org can look through your folder if they have a key or if they see it on the shelf. Like it's so available to be accessed. There is barely anyone like keeping these things under lock and key. There's something called the folder tank, which usually has a key, but sometimes it's just in the door because it's easier. Because they're like heavy doors, so you can just go down there and you can just like look through shit. But yeah, David Miscavige is a very strange little man. In and out says, "Did you ever? Thank you, In and Out. Did you ever feel better after your dad gave you a spinal adjustment? I've had a few sessions with a chiropractor before, and it's never done anything for me. I guess it does what you want it to do. I crack my back anyway, so it's like, you know, it, you just kind of do. You just kind of. I couldn't tell you. That's the short answer. But that was the one. That was one thing he was good for. Is free adjustments. Bert Pineapple, I am an illuminated one. And no, we are not associated. See, Bert knows what's up. Is that what they're called? An illuminated one? That's so lame. Is Angelina as beautiful in real life? Angelina? Jolie? I wouldn't know. I'd love to know. She is a not someone I would hate meeting, but I couldn't tell you. Thomas Cruise Maypother is his real name. Yeah, I don't even know how to say that. Mapother. Maypother. Just call him Tommy C. Did your parents meet in Scientology or did they join separately? They got married, and then my mom started spending money on Scientology and then invited my dad. My dad was like, I don't want to deal with any of that, but didn't really see it as harmful. Uh, but then, she manipulated him like she does most of the people in her life and eventually got him in heavily. I actually have a, you know what we should do? Oh, man. Let's take a look at this document. I have some documents, guys. Now, don't ask me where I got these. It's a trade secret. But my mother, I don't know if I'll be able to find it because there are so many. Okay, I have documents, reports. My mom's written to the org. PR cycles. Reports that my mom wrote on me when I was a child. Reports my mom wrote on my siblings or my sister, because my brother can do no wrong, apparently, because he's a perfect little Scientology drone. But one report specifically was where my mom was planning to surround my dad because he wasn't very interested in Scientology. Her plan was to surround him with people, more successful Scientologists than him, in order to kind of boost his reach towards Scientology. And it was a very, very grim kind of plan, but like, he's whipped. He thinks he's in charge. He is quite whipped. She has his little balls in a vice. Have I met Mike Rinder? Yes, I have. I was on the Layer Mini podcast, and Mike was a very nice guy. We don't talk as often, but I'm sure we'll talk again soon. I'd love to do a video with him, but I haven't really found the right topic. But at some point, for sure. Oh, what is OT5? Oh boy. Juliana, keep up. I'm kidding. The OT levels are like sequential levels of existence that you can attain through spending hundreds of thousands of dollars of Scientology auditing. They're like confidential levels where you learn that millions of years ago, a galactic overlord named Xenu, took a bunch of people and flew them to Earth in spaceships and threw them into volcanoes and blew them up with atom bombs and trapped their souls, and then sprinkled those little souls into programming stations, and they were brainwashed, and then they took all those little souls that they called thetans, and they put them in the bodies. It doesn't make a lot of sense, because earlier you learn that like you're a thetan in a body, so like you're just, I guess, some other thetan that isn't aware of these. Like, who were the bodies beforehand and the cavemen? It doesn't make a lot of sense. But they sprinkle these little thetans in the body, on all these bodies, and somehow those are passed down through like genetics. There is very little to understand, but and these are called body thetans, and essentially it's during a lot of the auditing in Scientology, you go to past lives, and you I was a starship captain, or I was a pirate, or some people, a lot more people than you would think, are like, I trained with L. Ron Hubbard. I was L. Ron Hubbard. I was Jesus Christ. I had one guy who was like, I think I trained with Hubbard in a past life, and he's older than Scientology is. He's older, like he was born pre-1950, so, which is physically impossible. And I'm like, thank you for telling me. Is that all of that? It's very when you get to the OT levels, you find out that none of your past lives are yours. They belong to these body things, and you have to audit these out. I think that's OT8 when you find that out. What are your thoughts on Layra Mini? She was nice when I met her. She started something. She started a very good thing, and I think it's important to have popular people talk about unpopular issues or lesser known issues. What's the best, or at least your favorite experience you've had with a celebrity Scientologist? I don't know if I could even call him a celebrity. Reverend Alfredi Johnson. Reverend Alfredi Johnson. Y'all know this guy? This guy. This fucking guy. So, a little bit of backstory. I was married to a Scientologist that I met. Her name was Ruby Bromwell. Not was, is. She's, we met it while we were training, and there was a lot of confusion around our relationship. But essentially, we ended up, after our training was done, we got engaged, and we had this long distance relationship. She's from Australia, and we're gonna have this big wedding, and her family runs the Perth org. So like her dad's the executive director. Her mom runs some other part. Her sister is also an executive. They're very deeply ingrained. She was posted on staff when she was 11 years old, which is illegal. But that's another story. Anyway, her family didn't want to take off any time to come to the wedding, or move anywhere. We even had their flights, like we could have arranged their flights to fly the whole family out for like this big wedding. They weren't interested. So we had to comp out, and I'm sorry, are there subtitles? Is there closed cap? Is there a live transcription? That is incredible. Okay. Anyway, we ended up comping out to do this almost free wedding. Almost free, meaning it was only like a couple $100 to do it at Flag. And in the Flag Chapel. And her family was just on FaceTime or on Skype, which was like super awkward. But Reverend Alfredi Johnson was like, I would like to do your to officiate your wedding, and because he's a reverend. So I was like, oh, fucking cool. I mean, this is cool. Reverend Alfredi Johnson, he had this whole, way of speaking, very reverendy, it was cool. we thought it was fine. He was giving us a lot of assurances. A day before the wedding, like a day or two before the wedding, I get a call. Like, we had met with him, and he was like, we gave him all this stuff that we wanted to say about each other, and he had this whole thing. Apparently, to officiate a Scientology wedding, because there is a book called the Scientology Ministries and Ceremonies book. It's like a big leather-bound book. It's just full of a bunch of random nonsense. But there's like a Scientology wedding speech, I guess. And he did not do the course that you need to be certified in, the Scientology minister's course, to be allowed to do that. So I get a call from like the chaplain or for somebody, and they're just like, he does this a lot. He does this a lot. He's not allowed to do that. I'm sorry. He keeps doing this. We keep telling him you can't do this. But you're going to have to find somebody else to do it. And we did have somebody else to do it, but it was just such a bizarre, I was like, why did Reverend Freddie Johnson just fucking lie to my face about this thing that, like, he really didn't have to do, but it was just so bizarre. It was so weird. I can't even say that's my favorite. I have a lot of random stories. They all kind of blend together, but I'll kind of get those out as time goes by. Also, the word church slips out. It is a cult, but you know. How high did you get on that bridge? I attested to the state of clear, and on the processing side, and on the training side, I was a class 5 auditor, which is about as high as you can get without joining the C organization. How much do you charge to run around? How much do you charge to run around your pole? You want to message me privately about that, and I'll give you my price range. We can talk about that later. More than $2,500, I'll tell you that. Did you find your dad's body cam footage? I requested it. I actually got an email today saying from the city of Alexandria, saying that the city is not obligated to provide access to records to anyone other than citizens of the Commonwealth of Virginia. So believe it or not, they're just not going to give it to me, which is bizarre. I gave them so much specific information as to what incident I was referring to, and they're just not going to give it to me. So I'll get it, but I'll have to go through some other methods. It was a good one. Guys, are we paying attention? Are we the ones with ADHD? As someone with ADHD, I'm barely paying attention to what I'm saying. I'm in just an unhinged stream of consciousness at this point. You slip in the right question, you'll get my attention. I do see everything. On the chat, in all my comments, in all the YouTube comments, TikTok comments. I'll reply to TikTok comments too. I see it all. I just don't need to respond to everything because, you know, it's a nuanced thing sometimes. But were you a grad 5 auditor trained? I was a class 5. Grad 5 is class 5 graduate, meaning you can do something called, what is that list called? Any ex-Scientologists can remind me. There's something called listing and nulling. There's these advanced correction lists that you learn. Something called there's certain processes that you are allowed to do. Class 5 just means I can I'm a trained class 4 auditor, which means I can do all the grades. I can audit all of the grades, like grade 0, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4, happiness rundown, ARC straight wire, all of these the things on the bridge to total freedom. The bridge to total submission. That's what I like to call it. CS53, yes. And the green form. Thank you, Catherine. Advanced correction lists, where are on grade 4, right? So essentially, I audited class 4, so I can do all these Scientology things, and then class 5 is something called the New Era Dianetics course, or the NED course. So I can do that's where you go whole track, meaning that's when you audit people and all their past lives, and you learn about all the alien stories, or like, you know, back when I was a ball of light floating around Venus, you know. I shit you not, it can be literally anything. But so that's class 5, and then you do an internship on both class 4 and class 5. But grad 5 is like, you're able to correct anything. You get these like advanced correction lists. There's something called an int rundown, an interiorization rundown, which you're able to do, which is what you do when you're like sick all the time. It's said that like, oh, you can't stay inside your body. You have a problem. You're bouncing in and out of your body, so that creates problems somehow. I've done a few of those. This is interesting. I actually, this is more for the ex-Scientologist, but I actually went clear on an int rundown, correcting my NED program, and I had to wait 3 months because I was in the middle of a HCO confessional, a sec check, and I was only allowed to find out and attest to that after I had done the sec check. So for 3 months I had gone clear or whatever, but they weren't allowed to tell me, which is something they can just do, I guess. I was just like sitting there and I was like, you know, God, this darn reactive mind, I just made it up. I just realized I created this reactive mind, and I just put all my all my engrams in a big bag. I don't need my reactive mind anymore. And they're like, boom, you're clear. That's what you have to say, by the way. That's the clear, and then you do something called CCRD, the Clear Certainty Rundown. I was actually sent to Flag to train to be a CCRD auditor, but that's neither here nor there. LRH, the biggest troll from under the bridge. Honestly, he didn't even make it. He didn't even finish his own bridge. If you look at like the bridge and how it's laid out and how it's advertised, he didn't even make it all the way. He got in a van trying to run away from the cops, and died of old age, you know, going crazy in some RV. Oh, getting some connection issues. Just gonna make sure. Is it good? Is it good? Are we good? Okay. Roxy says, please make outint make sense to me. Listen, Roxy, here's what I'll do. Think of yourself as a point of perception, right? You're not a soul, as in like a ghost or a ghoul, right? You're a perspective, not measurable to any capacity.
but you're stuck in a meat sack called a human body, right? If you get confused, and this is as easy as it is, really, if you just get confused or traumatized in some way or restimulated, where you are sort of reminded of some ancient implant from alien beings or invader forces or whatever, implant meaning like psychological torture of thetans, of you as a spirit or whatever. If this happens, oh, I think I am buffering, I think. I just want to make sure you can hear. All right. Stream status is poor. Okay. Okay, I think we're good. Okay. So yes. Up. We're bouncing in and out here. Might say my internet is out and oh, I correct myself. All right. I don't know what's happening with my internet. But yeah, so basically, you bounce in and out of the body. You're not stably in the body is the idea. And that is called out-int. Interiorization, meaning in the body. Oh boy. Let me just make sure that this is working well. Getting a lot of buffering. You don't like my shirt? Okay, I think my... Are we back? I think my VPN might have been messing with my connection. I think it was just my VPN bouncing back and forth, trying to connect, not connecting. I'm going to give it a sec. We good? Okay, okay. For as long as it says excellent here. Boy, howdy, ain't that some depression. It's a shirt from Inner Decay. Shout out, Inner Decay. My one of my most favorites, where I get all my patches. All right. It's not doing great. I blame OBS, to be honest. Oh my god. Here, let me read you guys a reference. One of you brought up a very good point. Emporium, etc. Gym. It's a pity Scientologists, and I'm sorry if my connection is is bad through this. It's a pity Scientologists don't have a sense of humor about it at all. A good in-house stand-up comedian could make a killing. The jokes just write themselves. You took the words right out of me and a lot of Scientologists I know's mouth. But let me tell you why they don't have a sense of humor. There's a reference that I'm going to show you. I hate this reference with a passion. With a passion. Oh, got it. Hold on. Here we go. Some of you know this one. Here we go. This is a new one for me. Thank you, Sandra, for the super chat. All right, this is a reference. HCOB, 5 February 1977. Jokers and Degraders. It's from the Case Supervising Series 100. So you can see right there. This is why Scientologists are the least funny motherfuckers in the world. Oh, Joe Bo, yes. Of course, there had to be a law against humor. It is an old principle that people who do not understand something, and this is from L. Ron Hubbard, straight from the shark's mouth. It is an old principle that people who do not understand something occasionally make fun of it, which is not an old principle at all. It's quite the opposite. A recent investigation, however, into the backgrounds and case conditions of a small handful of people who were joking about their posts and those around them showed a somewhat more sinister scene. So he already admits here to doing improper science in order to prove his point. A small handful of people in a cult. So, like, we're already against many a scientific theory here. A lot of you just believe this at face value and you don't question it when you're in the cult. Each of these persons fell into one or more of the following categories. Were rock slammers, which is essentially a term for when you're auditing someone. It's what's called a needle reaction on the e-meter. It's described as like the needle goes like this. It's supposed to indicate a hidden evil intention. And that's what you're trained to, and there's like a way you check for it and you mark it down and you circle it in red. It's not common. But it's evil people, essentially, people with evil intentions. Number 2 were institutional type cases, which means nothing. Just people he thought are crazy. Were NCG, meaning no case gain, meaning people the Scientology doesn't work on, like most people. But they attribute no case gain people with suppression. This is pretty advanced shit. I'm not gonna bore y'all with this, but this is just what it is. We're severely PTS, potential trouble source connected to rock slammers. Okay, I've never rock slammed in my life that I know of. But also I've never seen anyone genuinely rock slam. You can also simulate a rock slam by just squeezing the cans erratically. Oh, what's happening? Scottish and Italian. Oh, people are going to sleep. Good night, y'all. Or to those who are going to sleep. It's so hard to tell where people are from, every hour. People are snoozing. Who needs sleep? I'm kidding. Please. Sleep is incredible. So not only are they they don't have a sense of humor, they are threatened against it. Yeah, they laugh at the idea of violence towards SPs, as it were. All right. It might be supposed that misunderstood word phenomena could be a part of this, the rebellious student, and blah, 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 blah. The 4 categories above were, however, fully verified, says the cult leader, science fiction writer, pseudoscientist. So he goes on to say, in some cultural areas, wit and humor are looked upon as a healthy release. However, in the case of orgs, this was not found to be the case. Intentional destruction of the org and fellow staff members was the direct purpose. So you're not allowed to joke. You're not allowed to make light of, or because also in what's called KSW, Keeping Scientology Working, he talks about it being a deadly, serious activity, Scientology. There is no joking about such things, although I have read too many references to not find them funny at this point. There's so much to laugh at. Bird Pineapple, thank you. It has been an honor. I hope to see you in the Illuminati circle at our weekly Big Pharma cookout. Yearly, annual Big Pharma cookout. Who am I? I'm already forgetting the schedule. Because obviously the Illuminati is also just Big Pharma. Yeah, everything goes back to Big Pharma, didn't you know? Did you finish explaining the out int to the chat? I believe I did. It's basically you have to the way you handle this instability in and outside of the body as a Thetan is to audit times you went into things and times you went out of things. That's all real. The int rundown is they do listing and nulling, which is you make a list. The correct item will read on the meter somehow, and you take that item, whether it be fear of falling or goats or whatever your item is, and there's a procedure you do with that. There is so much to do that you get really lost in it, and you're run constantly on doing stuff. No slack, no downtime. So you're not really, as an auditor, I was encouraged to find my own PCs, pre-clears, people to audit. When I go down to find somebody, I'm yelled at for pulling someone off of their already pressured activity that they're in. It's so disorganized. I cannot tell you how destructive L. Ron Hubbard's technology is to organization. But I can, and I am, and I will continue to. It'll take a while. I'm not even kidding. Like there are so like it's crazy. RS. It's no case gain SPs. That's right, Roxy. That's me. Although I said Flag said I had case gain, so blame Flag. So whoever my CS was, that's the real SP. You might say L. Ron Hubbard was kind of a hypocrite. Yeah, you might say that. If you're an SP. How long did it take for LRH to come up with all the details on Scientology? Not long, because he's a science fiction writer, and he just was a malignant narcissist as well. So within the span of, and it's funny because when you're reading this, when you read Dianetics, and then you read any of his other books, like you read Dianetics and then you read Science of Survival, and then you read, and then like right from there, those are like all made within like 2 years of each other, right? Right after that, like later that year, he's already making Scientology. And then the next year, and then the next year, and within 5 years, he already has all the basics, all the basic books that you see. History of Man is the same decade as Dianetics. There was no, he's just looking back with his eyes closed and writing down what he sees, essentially. But I think that it was, it's easier to just kind of disassociate and say, yeah, sure, yeah, that makes sense, yeah, no, absolutely, you're right. I need a shirt that says "Proud to be an SP." The aftermath. I know uh, Mike and Mark are working on that. Mike Render and Mark Headley are working on some SP merch. I think I should be. I think I should have been consulted because some of the merch is a little corny. Okay, if we're really trying to be funny, I think I could come up with some better shirts. So, you know, but I'm not trying to be that guy. You know, although I'll talk to them about it. Don't worry, guys. I'll get whatever you need in. Grant Gannon. Do I know a guy named Grant Gannon? He's a Scientologist in the Clearwater area. There's a little bit too many of them in the Clearwater area for me to know all of them. But I'm better with faces than I am with names, for sure. Who is that person? Somebody asked if I had met somebody earlier in the chat, and I totally skipped over it. Oh, somebody asked if my dad knew the doctor. What was that doctor's name? Minkoff. I'm going to tell you, I've met Dr. Minkoff myself. I had no fucking idea who this guy was. He's the epitome of a decaying human. This man looks severely ill. Okay, like he looks like when you make an animatronic without fur, and then like you wait like 60 years, and the animatronic is like all sunken in on the skeleton. That's what Dr. Minkoff looks like. My dad, both my parents know him. I couldn't say they're friends because you don't really have friends in Scientology, but they are definitely associated with one another. Absolutely. Mark's going live in 40 minutes. Ooh, let's throw him some ideas. All right. I've always had this idea for a shirt. I had an idea for a whole anti-Scientology clothing brand called Red Circle, where it's just circling like funny things in red. That's kind of like an auditor joke. You circle it in red when it's like certain things you circle in red. They're things that you're going to note for later, or things that you want to stand out later. Rock slams, for instance, other things called service facsimiles, which are it's like a whole explanation. That's like a whole other thing. It's just certain phrases you handle later in auditing. But for example, if I was ever confronted by a Scientologist or if I was ever, you know, those videos where the Scientologists are all like ganging up on those people at the airport, you know, saying, "Oh, you touch kids, you're gross, you're disgusting." Like they just say the most hateful shit that they can think of that comes to the top of their mind. You can just throw that right back at them. You say, "Wow, you sound really critical. You know, what are you hiding? What are your overts?" Oh, that critical thought. Have you? And you take, you know, have you committed an overt against Mark Headley? Question mark. Circle that in red. Put that on a T-shirt. On the question, have you? You know, I'm bad on the spot, but I'll come up with a list. I'll send them over. Seen them do that to Mark Bunker. Poor Mark Bunker. Honestly, that guy is a rock. He's just taking a beating out there. Power to him. I'm a little too semantically aggressive, we will say, when it comes to their childish hatred of things they do not understand. So I would be very, I would not have the resolve or the patience that Mark Bunker has. Or what have you done to an SP? You know, that's a good question. What overts have you committed against SPs? God, you're so critical. Because that, like, in their mind, critical is completely, like, their critical behavior is, like, completely associated with bad things that, like, if you're critical, you've done bad things. That's why you'll hear, and something I've heard from people who have disconnected from me is, you're responsible for everything that happens to you, which is a certain control tactic. It's just like a self-policing tactic that you use to justify submission, justifying releasing your own power. You know, oh, I am critical. Oh, what have I done? You know, I've found overts in the past attached to this. You find it because you're not leaving the auditing room until you find something. But they don't really put that together. You know, it's the nuances. If you lay them out in front of you, if you take like a whole scene, you can break it down. But when you're in there and you're working off of like influence and you know, you're just moved from place to place. It's very hard to focus on the big picture. But I'd love to break it down visually at some point. And there are some interviews where that I have lined up where I hope I get to do that. But I'm sure I'll find a way. I'd just like to draw a map, like from when you enter Scientology, here are the nuanced ways that people get trapped, and here's why you think Scientology is working for you, and here's when you realize that it doesn't work, and here's what you do then, and then here's how you get trapped in the whole SP sort of rigmarole. You know, that's why you've never seen. It doesn't take long for independent Scientology advocates to go on private or to get blocked or to start blocking people or, you know, new staff members who take it upon themselves to promote Scientology and into the public. You know, they retreat eventually because it is not only impossible to sell Scientology to the masses. You get very mired down in responses of, are you okay? Do you need help? Are you safe? And they're like, what? What are you talking about? Because they're naive. They don't look into it. You know, it's like hell, they got, you know, speaking of naive, the Hulkster, Hulk Hogan's fallen into a pretty big trap. That's going to be insane. An insane thing to react to. Aaron just interviewed Alex Stein. trying to get him there too. Alex Stein. Where have I heard that name before? Oh, did he just interview him? That's that guy. Oh, interesting. I see that now. 49 minutes ago. Crazy. Oh yeah, he is the whole thing right there. I'll have to watch that. I got a couple things to catch up on. Uh live Scientology live police payoffs. It's Mark Headley's new stream coming up. We could just do stream within a stream within a stream. But that'd be a little confusing for Mark. We haven't talked yet, Mark Headley and I, but I'm sure we're on the horizon there. I just need to actually make content more often. You know, it gets muddied with like picture and picture and picture and picture, and then you know, yeah, only the truly ADHD stay attentive. Oh, did I have any more? I had some ideas of some things to talk about. Let me see. Where's my? I have a notebook dedicated to my experiences. Let's see. Oh, these could all be videos. Way too much to talk about in just a single live stream. Imagine the secrets I could unleash right here on this notebook. Be a shame if anyone was afraid for me to do that. It's just knowing where to start, really. I did a couple on TikTok, but I think I'm going to do more. Let me tell you, I cannot tell you how many times I have been at an event and David Miscavige is talking about how we've won over police departments and the police gave L. Ron Hubbard a standing ovation, like an award for creating peace in communities, and I'm like, it never really clicked how one would go about doing that, because they don't just give out awards. That's not what police do. So knowing now that it's more than likely that they just pay off police departments, I might have to get myself a creating peace award from a police station, with all this big pharma money. They came up, it was delivered by helicopter on a pallet, and obviously they gave me the translucent or the transparent Amex unlimited, Bezos money. I'm gonna get clipped. That's gonna be on my hate website. I just see all these clips getting taken out of context to be put on my IanRafelco.com or IanBerg.com. I gotta see if they've already trademarked that, if they've already taken that IP. They're just going through my PC folders to like break down all of my um, all of my childhood overts. What's my favorite classic Jenna Elfman movie? What's that show she was in? I haven't seen a Jenna Elfman movie in a long time. She was that one show. Um, that ran for like a season. Dharma and Greg. There it is. I watched a couple seasons of that. That was back in the day. That was all right. I've seen her around the orgs. I've also another person I used to I guess eat dinner with silently because he never really I was just never really courageous enough to talk to him was Michael Pena. He just walks around. He just walks around Flag. Michael Pena is he's an Ant-Man and seems like a nice guy, but he's just very in this kind of like to me it gives this very like I'm trying to figure out what's going on by myself and I don't need to listen to any of that out there, but like he's in the same trap. God, I'm going to say this, and I say this almost every stream. If anyone out there has the power to get me the Scientology training films, I'm talking Man the Unfathomable. I'm talking the Session film. I'm talking the new Tone Scale film. I'm talking these films are I would do a stream of every single one of these films and I would react to every single one. I've seen these hundreds of times. The E-meter How an E-meter Works film, which is bananas, by the way. Use of a Doll in Auditing and TRs, starring your favorite celebrity sex offender Danny Masterson. Who is in that? He's a young man in that film. God, I'd love that. Literally, somebody's got to, I found the old orientation film. That's the most I've ever found. But some of these films are just mind-boggling, and they are long, too. Man the Unfathomable, probably one of the most grotesque and violent ones. I used to just watch over and over again because, I was a child and I shouldn't have been watching that at all. There's a scene, I couldn't even monetize those. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There was a scene where, in Man the Unfathomable, where a psychiatrist drills open a little girl's skull and then vaporizes her into ashes and just murders her on screen. It's not a real person, obviously, who gets vaporized. I'm sure it's just they cut to ashes. But yeah. Oh, yeah. They had depictions of bones broken out of the skin. They had one Jim Meskimen was in this one scene in that film where there was like an Egyptian brain surgery and they're like siphoning blood into a cup, into like a little bowl. And it is absolutely, you just trust me. I would not lie to you guys. This is like, Man the Unfathomable has a 1.8 out of 10. I can't even believe that they put IMDb ratings for things that I cannot watch. That is a disgrace. IMDb must demand the film be released to them. How do you feel? How do you feel when playing Dead Space 2, my dude? I feel fantastic. And I'm actually going to be doing a stream, a long stream, I hope, I'm going to stream the entirety of the new Dead Space remake, and then I'm going to play through to the second one, and then the third, and I'm just going to power through. Because, you know, one of my favorite game series of all time. I'm super excited for the remake, and you know, I'll be reading through all the Unitology. You know, I'll be doing a lot of Unitologist commentary to the comparisons between Unitology and Scientology, so that'll be fun. Oh my god. They've added a lot of like different mechanics to that game, so I'm going to see whether or not it's going to be a whole new game for me. I mean, I've beaten Dead Space 2 like 3 or 4 times. But you know, it's going to be sick. I wish we could now. It comes out when does it come out? The 27th of January. I'm excited. I am excited. Have you ever listened to LRH's awful music? Yes. Sadly, they promoted his awful music here and there. In the during LRH's birthday. Let me see if I can pull this up. During LRH's birthday, they do a section. Oh no, what is it? The Maiden Voyage events, I think. They do the second event is always, it's like 4 events over 4 weeks. So the second event is the biography section, where they do all about, you know, L. Ron Hubbard as an artist and what he did and all the great stuff that he did. And I'm like, his music was really bad. Really bad. Let's see. Okay, we got L. Ron Hubbard's Space Jazz. I haven't listened to this before, but this is just one of the many things, I'm pretty sure. So pretty basic. Oh, God. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. Saying Buck Rogers? What is that? Oh, not only Adam did they have MIDI. He had like 4 or 5 keyboards that he'd be playing like 2 keyboards at once. His music is absolutely the worst thing I've ever heard. Some of them are like tolerable in like a bad music kind of sense, but this is painful. Skip ahead here. It definitely does sound like any oh God. Ooh, gotta let that arpeggio down. Oh God. Yeah. What is that? What is that? What is that? You hear that? Do you hear that little like what? Who is saying that? Who is talking? What that? What is that? Jesus. Look at that picture. Bet that's what L. Ron Hubbard thought he looked like in the mirror. The six-pack right there. This is like 12 minutes. This is like 45 minutes of her just constantly singing. Is she narrating something? I don't... Ooh. Ooh, it's giving Legend of Zelda Cave boss fight. Oh, it's all coming to me. Those are the winds of Tigia Alley. Wait. If I must suffer, so shall you. It's a book. Am I supposed to be... It sounds like it's like supposed to be part of like some like Hobbit-esque cartoon, but I'm just seeing this like 80s sci-fi cover of a clearly L. Ron Hubbard-esque hero. Please, please. This is like Troll 2 level. This is worse than Troll 2. I would watch Troll 2 6 times in a row before I'd listen to this whole thing. Okay, so that's for that. Let me see if I can find... What's this?
Thank you for listening.
Oof.
I
God.
write just for you,
Ooh.
but others hearing this may find.
This is Grandpa at open mic night. This is like drunk. This is like drunk dementia Grandpa at Korean karaoke.
Things they would argue.
This old Bob be hitting though,
I
kinda.
do not sing what I believe. I only give them fact. If they believe quite otherwise, it still will have impact.
He's like, he has to pepper in his narcissism through. He says, if they believe, what did he say? He said, even if they believe otherwise, I'll still have an impact. I only give them fact. If they believe quite otherwise, it still will have impact. It's kind of popping, I'm not gonna lie. We just mute his vocals. Listen.
For truth is truth, and if they then decide to live with lies, that's their concern, not mine, my friend. They're free to fantasize.
Those lows. Oh, all those years of smoking those menthol cools. Oh my God. Good Lord. I love the nostalgia 1, 2, 3 music. This really brings me back to before I was alive, because that's how I feel when I listen to this. I'd like to return to that, please. We gotta find the fucking. Oh God, here it is. This is the worst one. This is every year at L. Ron Hubbard's birthday. We heard this god awful song. There's the hip hip hoorays. Let's do the other two. There's one more. Let's hear the last one.
Thank you very much.
Oh,
and good
they
night.
cut in on the second one. He does 3. So then we hear this fucking song every year.
Happy birthday
To you, Ron. Happy birthday.
our greatest friend. This is your celebration, so we sing out to you. The sound heard all over the world. Happy birthday to you, Ron. Happy birthday, our greatest friend. This is your celebration, so we sing out to you. The sound heard all over the world.
It'll get stuck in your head. You'll be
This is your celebration.
brushing your teeth tonight, and you'll be like, "Happy birthday to you, Ron. To you, Ron." This is Ruth Eckert Hall, where we do all the events.
So we sing out to you. The sound heard all over the world.
Oh my God, that's great. Yeah, y'all are gonna be singing "Happy Birthday to you, Ron" tonight. That's gonna be stuck in your head. If this doesn't make you want to do rails off your own leg in an abandoned Chili's, nothing will. In the stall, in the handicap stall, get it right. You need that extra space to prop your leg up on that bar, you know? We stand tall. Fuck that song. Honestly, that song was ass. I never liked that song. What was worse was all the raps they made. That they like y'all ever see the Chili Bee raps? Oh God, who here knows about Chili Bee? Chili Bee. Oh God. Oh, not y'all busted. Oh my God. Okay, so this is for a anti-psychiatry ad. This is for the Citizens Commission on Human Rights, okay? I've met this man, Chili B. He did like a tour around all these things. Okay, this is, it kind of slaps in like a nursery rhyme rap kind of way, okay? So just prepare yourself. This is from they play little clips from the Industry of Death documentary that Scientology also did. This is all just propaganda.
I would like any member of the panel to describe a typical ADHD in terms of symptomatology. Mark, would you like to, since you see them in your practice?
I mean, I think the panel has been frank, and the difficulties here are immense in terms of these. I mean,
They did this. They did a huge chili bowl. Sprinkle cake, you crack me up. They did these massive propaganda documentaries showing only the worst and most
there were a lot of lies in these documentaries, but they showed these unique niche kind of instances of misuse of psychiatry and people who are not qualified, and they kind of spin that as, well, that's all psychiatry. It's very bullshit. So, but I just let's get there. Chili Bee, bust into the classroom. Let's go.
It's very hard to know how to answer this question.
Okay, here's a little story about this girl named Faye. She has a project due to turn it in a couple days. A study be a shrink and she wants a good grade. They send her to the school to watch the kiddies at play. She jots it all down, everything they do and say. One's chewing a pen and she writes it right away. One they talking to her and she looks the other way. Joey, he's in the chair, cancer still got a sway. Oh no, she sees it's a problem. Writes them all down on the list so they can solve them. Label them all trouble and then we can resolve them. Then let's go to the teachers with a line of parents to call them. Gonna tell the parents that the kids are ill. Gonna fix up Johnny so he can finally learn to chill. When he's swinging them legs, make them
I used to know all the lyrics, trust me.
them all problems, even though it ain't real.
So the subtext is, so the psychiatrist comes in and sees the kids are doing. Let me break this down for you, academically speaking, because this is important in history. He's breaking down. He's saying there's a psychologist in the classroom who's writing down all the things that these kids are doing, and now there's like this drug dealer, right, who's giving people meds. Well, there's the psychiatrist. Y'all busted.
Okay, here you go, coming home from working all day. The teacher calls you up with something that she gotta say. Talking about your kid in a messed up way. He's gotta see the shrink and you just might have to pay. If you ain't living in the hood, then it's probably all good.
So a psychiatrist calls you about troubling your child has troubling behavior in school. And that is bad for everyone involved somehow. He raps like he stopped listening to the only record that this man has is a Will Smith album.
Mama says, oh yeah, oh you really think you should? Now this here just ain't right. The Sykes got them so tight they don't put up a fight. Now if this was the hood, I don't think you could just come up and say that, yo, I wish you would. Mama don't play that, yo, she cut you cuz. Better tell her what ADHD is and what it does.
If you're a psychiatrist and you come up in the hood trying to help your child's behavioral issues or trying to change the environment of your home because your kid is having a hard time in class, she's going to cut you. She's going to murder you, essentially, harm you bodily.
They cannot, even when.
And then this peppered in. It's just bad.
As if driven by a motive, there are some good clinical descriptions.
Got all the like he didn't have words to put in the middle of there. Y'all busted.
Free your mind from miseducation, misinterpretation, yo, they trying to control you and me.
It's coming back to me. It's coming back to me.
They comatose and roast you, enslave the culture. Insulin shock, 10,000 had to die to stop.
They're talking about children. These are grown-ass adults buying drugs, by the way. These weren't in that children's classroom. So I don't know what this has to do with anything.
Pack 'em up, man, fast as you can. Got the shelves on lock, commercials non-stop. Label everybody's problem, so they all gon' cop. Some will scream when they hear we.
He takes it right then and there. He's shaking. It's like he's okay. So the twist is at the end, but we're gonna circle back to that scene.
See her and on my TV together, we gon' bring out the truth by ADHD.
It was the psychiatrist all along who was selling them drugs. Oh my God, look at that. Oh no, what a twist. What a twist. She looks like a Fed. Would you buy anything from this woman? Seriously. She comes up, What do you want? Some antidepressants? You want some fluoxetine? It's the off-brand shit, but it'll still level out your serotonin levels. Like, dog. So presumably, back here, they just take it right on the spot. In front of a playground, you gotta imagine, what is she giving them? He's just like, oh man, I've been feeling really bummed, but my insurance doesn't cover my antipsychotics or my anti-schizophrenia medication. Man, you got that Lexapro? Shit, no, but I got Prozac on the down low. It's like, shit, I'll take whatever you need. I've been having bad interpersonal relationships due to my lack of drive and focus, drawn from my depression and rough childhood. All right. And that's some sus-ass behavior. Taking your hood off right after the meet? Come on, man. It's a little hot. Busted.
So let's be real, man. What's it all about, man? From your own mouth, man.
I think,
And then just completely destroys the tone with this like interjection of this one clip.
changing the dialogues.
For your plan to tax dollars ain't yours. Hip hoppers in Black America, the first to say up yours.
Okay, yeah. Further twist. Not only the so let's just break this down here. Not only is the psychiatrist the drug dealer, the principal of the school supplies the drugs and the hoodie. Because those are the two things you need as a drug dealer. One, you gotta have the psychiatric medication, obviously. And you need the hoodie. If she doesn't have a hoodie, well, she's fucked, guys. He's handing her the hoodie. He takes it out of his drawer. Does she have to come back and be like, here's the hoodie back? And then they catch her. This kid, she jumps like she has seen a ghost when she sees this child. I would too if I just saw a child peeking at me through the window. But that I feel like is disrelated. What he's gonna call the cops? Insane. This was what I was forced to grow up on, guys. Good Lord. All right, I think as a drug dealer making my profits purely by margins that I alone determine, there's no way I could ever afford a light jet. Target is getting expensive, guys. Target is getting expensive. A light zip up? Nah. You got to resort to the pullover. A crew neck, maybe. With a hoodie. Anything that covers you. It has to be all black because you're dealing drugs in daylight. Obviously, they couldn't afford lighting equipment. So they had to film in the day. But that's probably not why that was set up. You can deal those in the day, just in broad daylight. I mean, she's white. Obviously, she's disproportionately not going to be picked up for that kind of thing. But it's just insane. It is absolutely insane. I'm getting a little exhausted, so I'm open to answer a couple more questions. I'm just hungry, really. And I might tune into Mark Headley's live after this. Any last questions before we're sorry. I'm gonna be singing that. I'm gonna be singing that to myself for the rest of the night. We busted you. Y'all busted. busted. How busted. God. Anyway, that guy has not released an album in many years. That live is happening on Blown for Good. That's his channel. Mark Headley. It's just Blown for Good. That's over on his channel. So go check him out. Go check out Growing Up in Scientology, Aaron Smith Levin's channel. I think we should definitely boost Mark Headley because he puts some effort into these videos, and go show him some love. All right, we don't got any more questions. I'll give it a sec. It can be about anything. Yeah, here I'll post the link. I'll post the link to his live.
And then
Oh,
Fort Harrison Auditorium.
here. Go tell him I said hi.
Water at their huge Scientology compound there.
All right. What's for dinner? Something fried in the air fryer. That goes in my belly, and I swallow it whole because I am an endless vacuum for cheeseburgers and chicken tendies. Thank you for watching my stream, everybody. I hope you have a great day, great rest of your day. I am going to be uploading more. I'm trying to do stream at least 3 times a week. So look forward to that. And I will catch y'all later. Thank you so much for showing up. Thank you for all the super chatters. My favorite, I love your attitude, personality, sense of humor, but please never turn your back on Aaron. He's proven to be a loose cannon and doesn't give a damn. I don't give a damn. There is one fight that I care about, and it is stopping a human trafficking cult. We're going to bump heads because we're all very emotionally attached to this cause, but it's not the mistakes that you make. It's how you handle them. It's where you go from there, right? So I'm going to give these guys the opportunity to, if they're beefing, they're going to beef, they're going to get over it, they're going to get back to work, okay? They're used to that. No HENR, Aaron. He'll know what that means. Anyway, love y'all, and I will see you next time. Adios.